Moving on to Mr. LaRocco's New York Islanders. And they had a trio of games against Washington Capitals. It was Friday night. No, it was Thursday night. Thursday night was a 1-0 shootout win for the Capitals. Evgeny Kuznetsov would have the shootout winner. Semyon Varlarmov, 28 saves. The next night, this is a pattern I've been noticing too much with the Islanders, both with their opponents and against their opponents. It's, we're going to play your game one night, and then we're going to play our game the next night. And that's what happened here. Washington Capitals, 6-3 winners. Beuvillier, Pelech, and Pajot all with goals. Unfortunately, your boy, who's in the background right over there, Ilya Sorokin, 6 goals against. That's a season high for him. Then to Tuesday night, Daniel Sprong's goal with under 2 minutes into the first period would hold up for the win.
Mark, I just got to correct you at the ticker for their 1-0 loss the other night. You have Varlarmov there. Sorokin played back-to-back. Sorokin for 1-0 loss the other night. I see Varlarmov down there. 32.
I'm just gonna get rid of that. I'm gonna hope nobody noticed. Fortunately, hopefully nobody knows this because anyway. Anthony, we're gonna start with you. Obviously, Islanders offense. What can you tell us about it?
It's non-existent right now. That's what I can tell you about it. They're just having trouble scoring the goals. But I'll start with that first game against Washington, the 1-0 loss in the shootout. They played fantastic. They played a fantastic game. Varlarmov was great. Their defense was great. They just could not score, and unfortunately, they got beat in the skills competition. It's funny actually. On one of the Islander boards I'm on, they were saying in that shootout, as good as Varlarmov was, people were calling for Sorokin to come into the shootout because he's a wall in the shootout. But you can't bring a cold goalie in and all of a sudden face in a shootout. That would be a terrible idea. It is unfortunate though. Sorokin played that game. They likely, maybe they win. But the point is, they had no offense. Varlarmov was great in regulation, but Varlarmov couldn't make a save in the shootout. Beuvillier undressed Samsonov to get the 1-0 lead in the shootout, and then he let up goals by Backstrom and Kuznetsov. He couldn't give the big save in the shootout, which is unfortunate. Can't get on him too much because he was great in the game, but it just would have been nice if he could have made a stop in the shootout there. Second game, total opposite. They were really bad. They scored 3 goals, but they were bad. They were really bad. Their defense was loose. Sorokin didn't have a good game. It was just a perfect storm. And Washington, really, actually, it was a close game going. It was a 4-3 game going into the third. The third period, though, was woeful. The Islanders only had, I only think it was like 2 shots on goal or 3 shots on goal in the third period. When you're down 1 goal and you muster that type of effort, it was poor. But that was a really bad game. They just looked out of sorts. And then the third game, which I was shocked to see Sorokin again because I'm like, he just didn't have his best game and Trotz went back to him. So turned out afterwards because Varlarmov had soreness in practice, so that's why they went with Sorokin. But that third game though, he was great. I mean, he's the only reason why it wasn't a 5-0 game. Just once again, the Islanders could not score. They only had 18 shots total, and Washington had 33. I mean, you can't. It's just it's amazing. I think the Palmieri trade, chemistry is a big thing. It is a real thing. Look, last year, oddly enough, after the Pajot trade, they didn't win a game. They didn't win a game again until the bubble. So it seems like the Islanders make these moves, and for whatever reason, they can't get cohesive as a unit after the deal, and they struggle. So, hopefully tonight, they could start to score a few goals. But the goal scoring is a concern. And the thing that doesn't make sense to me is, they're not as offensively talented as other teams. I've said that, but at the same time, they have a lot of guys who have multiple digit goal scoring. Pajot is 14, Nelson has 16, 17. They have offensive players that could score. It's just right now none of it's working. And me personally, I think it's the lines. I mean, I love Barry Trotz, but I think he needs to change things up. Shake it up, move someone like Beuvillier back to Barzal. When they played together in the past, they've been magic. They're both fast, they're both creative. I think that could help a little bit. Try something, do something to switch it up, because there's no reason why they should be struggling this much to score goals. But listen, me personally, I don't think they're going to win the division anymore unless, they do have 2 against Jersey and Buffalo, so that helps. But, at this point, I just want home ice at least second. But they're going to need to start scoring goals, and it needs to start tonight. So haven't had a problem with the goaltending, haven't had a problem with the D, other than the 6-3 loss against Washington. But they need to start scoring.
Just before Filk gets in here, I think the rule is you have to have the goalie in regulation or in overtime in order to switch him out. This isn't the Mighty Ducks 2.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, not to knock on a kid's movie, but the end of that movie was so ridiculous to me. First off, everybody in the shootout stopped and took slap shots. And secondly...
Come and get it.
Yeah, and secondly, all that drama, it was like, did the girl catch the puck? Well, was it in the net? No? No, it's not? Okay, it's irrelevant. That's all that matters. That's just me. Well, and just to pick on the first movie to show that, like, I'm not just picking on a teenage girl from 25 years ago. Gordon Bombay's like, oh, I deked the goalie out of my pads. Well, why were you shooting top corner, you idiot? So that's just my thoughts. Phil, get on in there.
Oh man, well, Anthony kind of just nailed it on the head with the Islanders, though. I mean, and the fact that Alex Ovechkin didn't play isn't exactly good either. So, yeah, it's not good to lose to a team that has its best player out, but Islanders' offense is just not working right now. I like I said, I don't know what it is. Barry Trotz, as much as I don't like to criticize someone that's got the resume that he has, Anthony's right. There's got to be something done to switch those lines up because they're not producing. But it goes back to what I said. They don't have a needle mover aside from Barzal. And that's why Hall would have been the better acquisition for them. I mean, I know I questioned it because I questioned whether he'd buy in or not, and I questioned the fit. But the bottom line is that the Islanders, for how many years, have needed somebody to come in and be a pure finisher, a pure sniper. And they've lacked that. I mean, they thought Kyle Poso maybe could become that. He never became that. He's playing with John Tavares. And Taylor Hall would have been a guy that would have came in and would have absolutely changed the landscape of the division if he were to buy into Trotz's system. Again, not sure if he could have or not, but I think that you kind of have to take the chance if you're going all in at this point, like the Islanders wanted to. So this move, again, like I said, if they don't get to the conference finals or whatever the equivalent of this year, Lou might take a lot of heat for that because he had that deal lined up and then pulled the plug on it. And you know what? Now what I'm saying is kind of rearing its ugly head a little bit. So the Islanders have to figure things out. The Rangers are probably a good team to figure things out against because of the fact that if they don't give you honest hockey for 60 minutes, they end up looking like an absolute forest fire defensively because I don't even want to use dumpster fire anymore. The entire forest is on fire when they're bad defensively. So, I mean, the Islanders could figure it out offensively against the Rangers. The last time they played, we know what happened, and that's where the offense was last seen. Otherwise, they've been milk carton status since. But yeah, I don't like what the Islanders are doing right now offensively. Now then there's really no excuse because Leo Komarov's not on that first line anymore. So where's the offense? You need guys. You talk about all the double-digit goal scorers that they have, but where is the offense stepping up? Kyle Palmieri was good early on with them, but I haven't seen much of him lately. Travis Zajac, they played too high in the lineup early on, and now I don't know exactly what line he's on now, but
I scratched the other night.
And that's not good then, Because if you brought in a trade deadline acquisition to give you depth and you scratch him, that means he's not playing well at all. So I wouldn't hang my head too much on Travis Zajac right now, because he's not really an offensive guy. Never really has been a big offensive guy. So, I mean, they need depth, but again, they also needed a needle mover. So
this is also a trade that all of us loved. All of us loved this trade.
Yeah, and remember, I glowed about that trade. I thought they absolutely fleeced the Devils in it. I thought it was going to be a move that was going to help them out big time, and I haven't seen the results. And if I'm an Islander fan, I'm not in panic mode yet. There's no need to panic, because we all know that come playoff time, you're playing 2-1, 1-0 games, and the Islanders are absolutely equipped to play those games. But I'm definitely, at the very least, a bit concerned. I've got a level of concern there, and a significant one, but I'm not in panic mode yet. So they have a few games to figure it out, but you know what? If you don't start seeing results soon, especially against a team like the Rangers, who one night could look like they're going to take the next step towards being one of the better defensive units in the league, and then the next night look like they belong playing in the AHL because their defense is so bad. I would, if I'm an Islander fan, I want to see results from one of these next 2 games.
That's why I think for Islanders right now, this is perfect matchup for them. They need a team that's going to get their blood going. They need a team that, I understand they were playing the Capitals, they were trying to play for first place, but you need to play a team that's a hated rival. You need to play a team that you know you could beat, because they've done it 5 times this year. That's why they need to. That's why they need the Rangers right now. Could it also be the worst matchup for them? Yeah, because if the Rangers come out and you get the best of all these guys that have been kind of dormant this season. Mika Zibabanejad, I don't think has a goal against the Islanders at all this year. Panarin,
second game of the season, he had one, I believe.
It was in the second. Oh yeah. Oh, I know Buchnevich had 2. Like everybody scored that second game of the season. All on Sorokin. That was 5 goals. But
that little jab in there with the jersey in the background.
I know, it's only because you have the jersey in the background. Also, I'm the one that said Sorokin should be game 1 starter in the playoffs. So, you know,
he did. I give
advice.
I give him credit to that. He shook that 6-3 game off when he came back out and he pitched a gem. You know, so. But
he's proven he's a good goalie. I got no problem saying that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'll stand by the fact that I think his numbers are deceptive, but I would also stand by the fact that I think he's a very good goalie and will be a very good goalie for a long time.
Yeah, that's going to happen. We know this. So we're also just going to analyze and give shit where we have to.
Yeah.
But again, I think this is actually the perfect time for the Rangers to come in. Maybe it wakes up a guy like John Gabriel Pajot, because I got to say his whole fucking name to let you know how much I hate him. But maybe he comes up and has another 4-goal game against the Rangers, like he did a few years ago with the Ottawa Senators. Maybe it wakes up yeah. You know, by the way, that day was the day that I had my first date with my ex-fiance. So I don't know if that's good or bad to mention that as a footnote.
Oh, I love Rangers parallels to Mark's dating life.
Yeah.
They're so much fun. And Mark is always the first one to just absolutely rip on himself for it.
Because you know what, I can't help it. I got the most material on me. But Anthony, before we talk about the anything else or close this out, final thoughts.
You know, despite losing these 3 games against Washington, I find myself while I'm watching the games, I'm not scared of the Washington Capitals if the Islanders have to play them in the playoffs. It's just, I don't know, something about it. They played 3 1-0 games in the 3 of the last 4 games against each other. 3 of them have been 1-0, and the Islanders they play well against them. They do. They don't. When Washington's on a power play, that scares me a little bit. But during the course of the game, and I'm not really scared by that team. So if Pittsburgh ends up winning the division and it's 2-3 Islanders Capitals, I like the matchup for the Islanders. They beat them last year in a playoff series. During the regular season, they play in tight. So I think that's honestly the best matchup for the Isles. But I mean, just going forward, it starts tonight. They got to start scoring goals. I think they got to start. Stop gripping the sticks a little too tight, because they definitely are at this point. You have some players that typically don't miss the net, that are missing the net, kind of like a golden opportunity. So that happens when you're in your own head. So I think hopefully for them, the best case would be Shesterkin starting, because right off the bat, if Georgiev starts, that could be in their head. Make them play tight from the start. So we'll see what happens, but they need to play with a lead too, Wells. They've been getting scored on, firsts lately. So getting a lead is important. Like last game, if they can get a 1-2 goal lead on the Rangers, I think they'll play at ease. They'll fall back into the systems a little bit more, playing it a little bit comfortably, knowing they have the lead, and then go from there. But listen, take both from the Rangers. They clinch a playoff spot. They can relax a little bit, start getting back to their hockey, and then have a little bit of a reprieve with finally playing some bad teams again, like Jersey and Buffalo. Again, having good goaltending is important. Good defense is important. People say for the longest time, goaltending wins championships. Yeah, but if you can't score, eventually you're going to have to put the puck in the net. So
just tell that to Henrik Lundqvist.
Yeah.
What did I say last week to Mark? You can't win a 0-0 game. And I've got a question for you before we close this out. So you would rather face Boston in a playoff series? You would rather face Washington in a playoff series than Boston?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Wow, I'm surprised, because just maybe a couple weeks back we were talking about how Boston really wasn't together and you'd rather Washington.
Yeah. They beat Boston. They played 7 times. They beat them 5 times. But playoffs is a little bit of a different animal. And also, too, I don't think that matchup's going to be possible, because Boston's 4 right now, Islanders 3. Unless Boston shoots up the first, which I don't think is going to happen. And so I don't really see the chips falling where they would have to for them to meet the first round.
Oh no, I was just talking about it
in general.
What would you rather? I was just talking about it from who would you rather face perspective rather than the actual standings itself. That's an interesting look at it, though.
Well, we also want to know what you think. First, by the way, give us a like down below, and also comment. How are the Islanders doing right now? Do you think that they're going to be making a playoff run in their current state? How's their offense? Is it about as dried up as my dating life, or is it ready to make a comeback, unlike my dating life? So, anyway, just throw it down below. All right. Did you like that video? Of course you did. So why not check out some more of our content? You can check the playlist right here or right here.
Your ideas are intriguing to me, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.